Hi there again. After our celebration of Joseph John's 100th birthday, we're going to do a little cooking. And if you remember, I mentioned I didn't have my war paint on. Now, Joe liked me with my makeup on, and he'd say, "Are you not going to put your war paint on tonight?" I'm like, "No, I don't feel like it." But that was a joke between us, because he'd say, "Well, you got that war paint on tonight," when we would be going out. And I'd say, "Yeah, you like it? It's good," he said. But I got my red lipstick on for it. But I'm going to cook tonight. Not something he would like, as I said, because he's a meat potato gravy guy. I'm going to fix, because I'm on that WW count, 1, 2, 3. And if you'll notice, I have my pajamas on. Now, I think I might do these cooking videos in my pajamas. You know, cooking cat with PJs. That's a little catchy. I don't know, but when I fixed the apple fritters on Saturday, I had my pink pajamas on. So they were little polka dots, and these are big polka dots. So, and I'm burning up. They're summer weight, but I thought, Lord of mercy, that'll be all right. But I'm hot potato anyway. All right, I'm going to fix roasted salmon with warm blueberry vinaigrette. Doesn't that sound good? And then to accompany that, I'm fixing broccoli with lemon, sage, garlic crumbs. So to get started, I'm going to show you the ingredients for the salmon. And I'll tell a little Joe story every once in a while. You know I do. I always do, but during my videos. But we're going to talk about the salmon right now. This is the cookie sheet lined with foil, and I sprayed the Pam on it, and I've got my 2 salmon fillets on there. And so it also calls for a teaspoon of butter, which this is for this. You didn't see that, but that's for that, and this is for this. But a teaspoon of butter, a teaspoon of butter, 1 shallot, which I chopped now. Didn't I do a good job? And then a cup of fresh blueberries, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, which I have here. Maple syrup is a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of water, and I chopped this rosemary too. Now looky there. That's pretty handy with one hand. You know, I'm the gimp. And also, I have a teaspoon of salt, the uncooked salmon fillets, black pepper, and chives, but I'm not going to top it with chives. I just don't think that would really add anything to it. So I've got the oven preheated to 400. And like I said, you line your baking sheet with the foil and spray it with your nonstick spray, which I've already done. And I've already salt and peppered it. And then you put your fillets on the baking sheet, and then you bake it about 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead. This dinner's gonna come together really quick. Now I'm gonna put that in there, but we're gonna see how I'm gonna get it out. And then we turn on the back burner here for our sauce, and we heat the butter in a small saucepan over medium heat. So we'll get that little baby going. I don't know, I don't cook on this stove enough to know which side is which. Oh, that's the front, no wonder. Hello. It says medium-high heat, and let that butter. Over here on the broccoli, I've got those flowers cooking, and so we don't have to wait on those. Now, don't look at my dirty pot holder, but look what I can do here now with that hand. It says these about 8 minutes, but it's however al dente you like your broccoli. I like mine a little bit more soft, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. This daggone oven or stove is hot. That butter's getting ready to melt. After that butter melts, we are going to we're gonna stir, after this butter melts, we're gonna stir in the blueberries. My phone's about to go dead. I didn't charge it enough to be doing this stuff. I worked today at the boutique, and I have an Amazon Echo and a Alexa tall one. I was on the phone this morning with Amazon, or not on the phone because you can't talk to anybody, but you do the little chat for at least an hour and a half. I got my Echo going, but my Amazon's just dead on a doornail, so I'm gonna have to send it back. All right, so the butter in the pan is melted, as you can see, and I'm gonna put the blueberries in here, like it says, and then these soften. Ooh, no, I didn't do that right. Well, let's take them out, because we got to cook those shallots. I didn't say I was going to cook right tonight. You know, it's a big night for me. I've been emotional all day. Let's see, let's hear a story about Joe. Joe lived a long and good life. He was raised on a farm. The Hoffman boys, there were 7 boys and 1 girl. And believe it or not, Aunt Sis, the oldest, who was the old maid, she never married. Joe said if any guy came around and showed interest in her or asked her out to dinner more than once, she said no, she wasn't interested. She'd help raise all them boys. She wasn't going to get married and have any kids. But she did live to be 100. Isn't that something? And my Joe would have lived longer too if he hadn't had that old ugly Alzheimer's disease. But, you know, he had to go because it wasn't him. He was just not him. But we put the shallot in here and we brown that in the butter. Now it's making sense. You can hear that little sizzle going on there. But he had so many wonderful childhood stories with those 7 boys. Good Lord. You know, and Joe was a good cook too, because his dad gave the boys each summer a job. And he looked at Joe the beginning of the summer, and he said, son, you will help your mother in the house this summer. And of course he said, okay. And I'm so glad that Grandpa Hoffman did that, because Joe was a heck of a cook. But he helped can, he helped freeze, he worked in the garden. I think Mrs. Hoffman made, I don't know how many loaves of bread a day for those boys. And besides her big family, she would feed the thrashers that went from neighborhood thrashing. That's an old art that's certainly gone. But so that whole summer, he said, you know, he when his dad said, he said, ugh, I don't want to do that. But he really enjoyed it, and it was a special time with his mom and his sister. And everybody called his sister Aunt Sis. Even the boys would call her Aunt Sis. Now, I don't know how many grandkids and nieces and nephews, and Lord of mercy, the Hoffmans, a big family now. All of Joe's siblings, of course, are gone now, and that's very, very sad. But they're all up there ranting and raving up there in heaven. Okay, now we're going to stir in the blueberries. And I'm going to get that down a little bit. And vinegar, which the balsamic vinegar, look at this, and this good, is 2 tablespoons. So I got that right here. 1, 2, and then we do a tablespoon of maple syrup. And I gotta be careful because this baby's full. And it's a pretty wide. Looky there. We got a little bit more in a tablespoon, but that ain't gonna hurt. Make it sweeter. The water, which is 2 tablespoons. And then the rosemary. And we just let that cook down until it's thickened. Let's see, we need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I got that over here for the broccoli in that. And we just let this cook down until it's thickened about 5 minutes. And I'm gonna stir it a little bit more. So that's done. All right, then we're gonna come over here now to the broccoli. And I'm gonna take that lid off because I think it's just about right. And you can see that it's pretty much the way we want it. I'm gonna turn that off. Let me get to my broccoli recipe. And it is right here. Let's see. You can cook your broccoli in the microwave too. And the salmon, it said you could cook it out on the grill, but I don't grill. All right, now it says to melt the butter in the non-stick skillet, which that's what we've got here, and it's melted. We add the garlic. Now, I didn't chop the garlic because I had done enough on the rosemary, so I used the minced garlic that you buy in the grocery store. Candy uses that when she was here for my surgery. We had a plenty, so I said, well, that's a good idea. So we're gonna put that in the skillet. And we're gonna let that do its thing. And you can see, look how the blueberry sauce is thickening up. Doesn't that look pretty? I'm gonna stir that baby again. It's still got a little ways to go. But it's all coming together really quick. Salmon's looking good. We bring it out so you can see it. Doesn't that look pretty? Not done yet. All right, let's see about this broccoli. What do? We melt the butter, we add the garlic and cook stirring until fragrant. Better turn that up so it'll start cooking. We got to drain the broccoli, that's what I thought. So I'm just going to use this little colander, come over to the sink, and drain that, and then I'm going to put it now. I think I'm going to go ahead and put it in this bowl because it's totally done. And what we do is we just sprinkle the crumbs over it and stir it up. So there's the broccoli, and they're pretty and green. Okay, the garlic is starting to do its thing here. And the sauce is still cooking. And of course the salmon's cooking. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. And I'll turn that down, turn that down. Okay, let's see. Another story about Joe. He was an unselfish person. We'd been married several years, and gosh, we didn't put the pool in until the girls were almost out of high school and going to college, but it just worked out that we could do it at that time. And he said, you really want a swimming pool? I said, I'd love to have a swimming pool. That way all the grandkids and so forth can come when we finally have some. And he put that pool in. It was an in-ground pool, just the most beautiful pool you'd ever see, but he couldn't swim. I said, you can't swim and you were raised on a farm? He said, no. He said, we didn't have time to swim. There was a pond there, but they didn't go swimming hardly at all because they were always working. They always had chores to do. Not like today where the boys and girls sit around and visit with each other and play their games, and that just didn't go on back then. There was work to do and everybody had to do it. All right, now I put a cup of panko breadcrumbs in here. And I gotta give you all the ingredients. Increase heat and cook, stirring often until toasted. So these just go in here and toast them, and I'm gonna have them all over the floor, of course. I just don't feel like I'm very chipper tonight. But we're cooking anyway. I think I do better by myself. I can think of more things to talk about. That sauce is still cooking down. And what you do with these is you just toss, and you gotta put some lemon zest in it, and then we toss the broccoli. Now the broccoli is 1 pound of florets, 1 tablespoon of butter, which is in the skillet, that 1 1/2 teaspoon of minced garlic, that's in the skillet, the pan-cold breadcrumbs are 1/2 cup. You can use seasoned or not. And then we're going to use a teaspoon of lemon zest and a teaspoon or a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're still going to brown this zest a little bit. We'll set this timer for a couple more minutes. I didn't set it for the salmon, but we can tell. These have got to get a little bit more brown. Pan-cold breadcrumbs are just delicious. If you bread pork chops or any kind of meat with them, they're just so nice and crisp, so much better than flour. You can use plain or the seasoned, as I said, but they're just have a delightful crunchy taste to them. Now the broccoli has 1 serving, which is 1 serving, it doesn't say how much, is 3 points. The salmon is 5 points. So tonight it says 1 serving of salmon and 1 serving of the broccoli. I'm going to have 8 points. And look at what a delicious meal I can have. These are both Weight Watcher recipes, or I shouldn't say Weight Watcher, I get WW. Oh, and you know we have a cocktail of the evening, but I'm going to talk about that now. I'm turning that off. But Joe's favorite cocktail was scotch and water when we got together, and I'm like, oh, Lordy B, I can't drink that. And then after a while, he started drinking bourbon, and Maker's Mark was his favorite. He would drink it with water. He wasn't a big drinker, but he would have a little bourbon and water at night before we would start cooking dinner and cook dinner. But tonight I'm having the Maker's Mark, but I'm having mine with Sprite and fresh mint. And this is another salute to Joseph John. He would say, well, you're drinking a little heavy. Champagne and a cocktail. Shh, don't tell him. I think our salmon is done. I can get that out of the oven. It's not too heavy. I'm going to stir these real quick. Turn them on high and get them babies brown, or burn them up, one or the other, we'll see. I told the story how we lived when we first got married at Miles Ridge in Indiana, and we lived on that big ravine, and how I threw everything over. I don't have a ravine here. On the island, it's flatter than a flitter. But I do have a fence, and then I have kind of a thicket that I've cleared out, and then the first tee of the golf course on the lakes. So that little thicket, I have fed that, and I'm sure I've fed the snakes and the geckos. There was a gecko on my back porch, in my back porch this morning. It was about that long, and I leave my doors open. I'm like, oh Lord, I don't want that thing in my house crawling on me at night. That'd kill me, and I'd be up in heaven with Joe. But There's all kinds of critters down here. There's coyotes and bobcats. The peninsula where I live is located between Little Lagoon and the canal that goes to Mobile Bay, and there's a Bon Secours wildlife preserve. And the back peninsula is in that wildlife preserve, and then it is over to the right. I don't know if that's east or west, north or south, but if you're going towards Fort Morgan, across the road there is another big preserve that has all kinds of wildlife. And you know, here in the peninsula, 3 golf courses and the ponds, the golf ponds, we have a lot of alligators. Back on the Facebook page about 2 months ago, someone put on there, I have an injured alligator on my back porch. What can I do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm away from them, so I don't get no alligators up here. Thank goodness. I do get snakes. And I'll tell a story about Brenda Ross Peck. She was here visiting, and at that time she was smoking, but she's gotten really strong and she's quit smoking. But anyway, she's sitting there on the front porch, and she was on her phone, whatever, talking, smoking her cigarette, and all of a sudden, I better get that salmon out of the oven. Anyway, she heard, coming. And I'm like, what? She said, there's a snake. I'm like, okay. I'm not afraid of snakes. Anyways, a little snake about like that. It was no bigger than my finger. So the neighbor across the street comes over. Frankie said, girls, what's wrong? I said, oh, there's a snake. But anyway, I come in the house and I get the broom. And I'm going to, I said, oh, we'll take care of that, because it wiggled over to the corner where the garage was. And I said, I'll just get that snake and flip it. Well, the snake was quicker than me. But anyway, now I know that Brenda, see, I told you I'd burn these breadcrumbs, is scared to death. And I'm sorry I told that story on you, Brenda, but I just had to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grate this lemon. It says zest, but I better get these out of here. This is going to be a feat. I did it. I'm sorry it's backwards to you, but I can't help it, because I got to do it however I do it to be in pain. I'm going to put this over here because it's hot, and it'll keep cooking. Now we take the lemon zester and zest fresh lemon. This is about a teaspoon, but that smells so fragrant. It didn't hurt it that those were, my breadcrumbs are a little brown. You don't want to get down to the pith. When it gets real white, when you zest a lemon, you need to go on to the next spot, because then it gets real bitter. And you know, I could take that tag off of there, or sticker, but we ain't gonna do that either. And I think I probably about got enough. And then you can use this lemon later on, and if you roll it, because the skin's off of it, it gets real juicy. So now I'm just gonna take my spoon and stir up this broccoli. And I'm gonna get a plate out, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like. That's all done. We're gonna use those plates, not paper plates. You know, I'm a paper plate girl. But we're gonna put a fillet on the plate. We're gonna put broccoli with the crumbs on our plate. It's gonna be real pretty. I would say that's about a serving, you know. Probably more than a little bit, but we don't care. And then I'm gonna have to hold it like this, or I'm gonna drop it in the floor, and that'll be a big mess, and I can't break my Longaberger plate. Okay, and then the blueberry sauce. I'm just gonna put it right on top. Just a little dab more, couldn't hurt. Now, isn't that a pretty meal for 8 points? All right. Cooking with Kat in her PJs. We had roasted salmon, tonight with a blueberry vinaigrette sauce, which was 5 points. We had broccoli with lemon garlic crumbs. That's 3 points. So this is an 8-point meal. Thank you all for watching. You know, I always enjoy entertaining. I hope you like my stories. I wasn't as upbeat tonight as I usually am, but I made it on here anyway. And happy birthday, Joseph John. I love you with all my love. You're KJ. And till next time, bye now.